And we're back on the Fowler Show, the youngest syndicated progressive radio show in the country. And since we are the youngest syndicated show in the country, we thought we would hang out with our peeps and our friends from from Rock the Vote. We're joined by the one and only, the president and executive director of Rock the Vote. I think the executive director is the right title, right?
Yeah, you know, we'll take whatever you call me, really.
Heather Smith, welcome. This is your inaugural appearance on the Fowler Show. Welcome to Fowler Nation. How are you this fine day?
I'm doing great. It's really great to be here.
Well, I've got to tell you, I think one thing that concerns me, and I think concerns everybody here in Fowler Nation, is this new, I don't even know what you would call it. It's like it's almost like a boondoggle of, I don't know if you call it a boondoggle. I don't know if you call it like, roaches at nighttime. But either way, it seems as though after the Supreme Court made the decision, all of these crazy voting laws came out of the woodworks. And let me just talk about a couple of them, and then I want to get your take. But we'll go state by state, right? So in the state of Alabama, we'll go alphabetically, I guess. There's a photo identification law that goes into effect in 2014, just in time for the 2014 election. And the law would say that voters would not be able to vote without an ID in the two official elections. And on top of that, you would have to sign an affidavit to make sure that you're an eligible voter.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And as soon as the Supreme Court guts the Voting Rights Act, you see all of these states who otherwise would have had to have these laws approved by, the district court or a three-judge panel here in D.C. They said, oh, wait, this is our window. Before Congress, and we all know how fast that will move, writes the formula for what states need to get their laws approved once again. All of these states, and I think there's already 6 that have passed or enacted something, are passing these restrictive laws. Alabama, no surprise, coming out with something that not only says you have to show, and it's not just ID, it's a really strict form of ID that's going to restrict a lot of people from voting, plus signing an affidavit saying you are who you are and you intend to use this right that is yours. It's clear they're just trying to make it harder for people to vote.
And I'm glad you mentioned, we're going to go back to the, what's happening in all the states, but I want to segue for just a second, if I could, to sort of have a conversation about what those that are elected are saying about this whole debacle. Yeah. So you have the Attorney General of Texas, who has basically conceded that, yeah, we change voting maps, we change rules, we want to, tip the odds in the Republican favor. And then, while he's saying that, you have his buddy, a couple states over, Kentucky Senator Rand Paul, who says there's no such thing as voter discrimination. It never happens. It doesn't exist. So, like, even within their own party, they seem to have this, I would call it hypocrisy, but it's just straight up, it's really just downright lying.
It is, and they've been caught in these lies. And it's not the entire Republican Party or GOP, but there are specific lawmakers right now, and they have been caught. So, for example, in Florida, Rock the Vote was very involved because they tried to stop us from running voter registration drives, which, young students all around the country's teachers, and when they teach civic education, they were fining them for turning in forms late. So the League of Women Voters and Rock the Vote, we ended up filing a lawsuit, and we won, which was great. So our students got to go back to registering voters. But they also tried to restrict the early voting period and make it shorter, similar to the law that just passed in North Carolina. And the legislator down there said, on the record, voting should not be easy. I want people to have to do this as bad as those who will stand in line all night and walk across the desert to do it in Africa. And, that's not the American way.
No. Not at all. I think you're so right. Like, that's not the American way. But the whole idea that there's so many folks who fought and died for our right to vote, or our right to rock the vote, I guess that would be the term.
I like that.
And now all those rights are being taken away. And I'm glad you brought up North Carolina, which they're one of the most restrictive laws, where you have to have a government ID, and the government ID, for you to get this government ID, has to match up with your birth certificate. And I know we've all heard the story of Rosnell Eaton, who's a 92-year-old woman who for her to vote the first time. And Heather knows the story very well, so do I. But for her to vote the first time in 21, she had to take a reading test or a poll test. And now she might not be able to vote because her birth certificate name is different than her current name, and she might have a problem getting a voter ID beyond the fact she does not drive, so she can't get a driver's license in North Carolina.
she's not voting. You know, and it's people like that, and it's a real shame who are falling victim to these laws. The North Carolina law is the most restrictive law moving us backwards decades in voting laws. It just passed, and not only does it impact people like the story you just told, but also, you know, from the Rock the Vote perspective, we've been following the impact on students. And North Carolina is an interesting state. Now, it's in 2008, with the youth vote and the minority vote, Obama won a very surprise victory there. And ever since, we've seen these kind of restrictions popping up that were making it harder for students to cast a ballot. And, you know, here we are with the most restrictive law that doesn't allow for drivers, out-of-state driver's licenses, doesn't allow for student IDs. So if you were someone like, for example, myself, who grew up in Buffalo, New York, and I went to school in North Carolina, and I wanted to cast a ballot there, I would not have been able to do that. Though my constitutional right is that I get to choose where I call home, whether that's my parents' house or my school, I wouldn't have been able to vote in the state of North Carolina under the law that just passed this week.
That's so, like, it's beyond me that these states are passing some of these crazy laws. And I live in Virginia. I mean, we tape in Washington, D.C., but I live in Virginia. And in Virginia, they've enacted a law in March requiring photo identification to cast a ballot. It is scheduled to take effect and all of these laws, coincidentally, are taking effect just before the 2014 election. Like the days before.
Well, I mean, the intent is very clear, but it, you know, and it goes beyond voter ID laws, which I think that gets a lot of the coverage in the story. But for example, the North Carolina bill, it actually overturned pre-registration, which means 16 and 17-year-olds used to be able to pre-register when they were going to, say, get their driver's license at the DMV. No longer allowed to do that. It overturned the teaching of civic education as a mandatory course in high schools across the state of North Carolina. So we're not only restricting the right to vote, but now we're making it less accessible for them to get registered, for them to access civic education in their public schools. So it really is, it's kind of shocking when you dig into the dozens of things that these bills are doing beyond just the voter ID, the really restrictive ID to cast a ballot.
And, you know, I got to tell you, Heather, I'm really grateful for all the work you guys do at Rock the Vote. Now, folks who don't know, and Heather, I don't think you know this. I don't know if my producers told you, but I got my start, my political start, thanks to folks at Rock the Vote.
Oh, how fun!
Actually, I'm from Broward County. People know that, but I was running the voter operation for the NAACP Youth Division in Fort Lauderdale. We teamed up with you guys for the MTV Music Awards. You guys are still with MTV, and I got a chance to re-register about 1,000 voters, and we bust them to the polls and all this other stuff. That's why voting is such a big issue to me, because I got my start here, and I realized that's the only way our generation can truly create real, lasting change is through voting and through you know, the simplest form of democracy, electing the people that are supposed to serve you.
That's right, and there's some real power that comes with that, and not only at the you know, on election day at the polling booth, but also because it teaches you know, our peers, young people, this generation, how to be engaged civically, how to go out and talk to their friends and their neighbors and do good and give back, and hopefully inspires a lifetime of civic participation. But it certainly gives us the power to make the changes that we want in the future that we will inherit, something that we're proud of, and that's our own.
I love it. Heather, I got to tell you, the work you guys do at Rock the Vote's amazing. Check them out. What's the website, Heather?
rockthevote.com.
rockthevote.com. You can register online. They got everything there for you, so you can truly rock the vote. Not only, and pay attention, folks, there's elections happening all the time, municipal elections, local elections, just as important as national ones. Heather Smith can tell you all about that. We're going to bring her back. I promise y'all. We're going to bring her back to Fowler Nation. Heather, come back here. We'll be right back on the Fowler Show after this break.